Let's begin by seeing what happens when the pawn is applied in a real trading environment. Over 3 months, broker A processed $32.5 billion in retail volume. Without the pawn, the broker earned $3.7 million, but the risk was catastrophic. A maximum drawdown of 33.5%, a drawdown that lasted 25 days, a sharp ratio of 2.22, and a massive $170 million net open position. One wrong move and the entire profit could vanish. Now look at the same broker with the pawn. Net profit of $2.9 million. Maximum drawdown reduced to 0.12%. Drawdown duration cut to 1 day. Sharp ratio soaring to 21.45. And net open position slashed to $27.8 million. Yes, the raw profit without the pawn appears slightly higher, but at 7 times the exposure. A simple 2% move would wipe out everything. That is not trading. That is gambling. The pawn turns that gamble into a controlled, stable, and predictable business. Now let's look at the equity chart. The white line represents the A-book baseline. It is steady and gradual, showing low volatility and consistent movement over time. Now focus on the red line, which is the B-book without the pawn. You can see how this line moves aggressively, with sharp drops, sudden recoveries, and deep drawdowns. It spends a long time below the baseline, and even when it rises, the movement is unstable and unpredictable. This behavior shows high exposure, high volatility, and repeated risk events. Now look at the blue line, which represents the B-book with the pawn. Unlike the red line, the blue line moves smoothly and consistently upward. There are no violent collapses or chaotic swings. Even during periods when the red line crashes, the blue line stays stable and continues to grow. This shows how the pawn absorbs volatility and protects equity. Overall, the white line is stable but slow. The red line is volatile and risky, and the blue line shows controlled, steady equity growth. That is the stability advantage created by the pawn. Now let's look at the NOP chart, which shows how much exposure the system is taking at any moment. The orange line represents NOP without the pawn. You can see how it keeps shooting upward into very large peaks. These sharp spikes show the system taking oversized and risky positions. Every jump represents a moment of high exposure where a single bad move can cause serious losses. Now, focus on the blue line, which represents NOP with the pawn. In contrast to the orange line, the blue line stays extremely low and stable. It moves inside a tight, narrow band with no major spikes. This shows that the pawn continuously keeps position sizes small, controlled, and safe. There are no sudden surges, no aggressive leverage, and no unpredictable jumps. This comparison makes it clear. Without the pawn, exposure becomes dangerously high. With the pawn, exposure stays disciplined, consistent, and fully under control. Now let's look at the worst-case scenario, the stress simulation. The white line represents the A-book only. It moves steadily upward with a calm, predictable slope. This gives us a stable baseline for comparison. Now focus on the red line, which shows the B-book without the pawn. Here you can see the danger clearly. The red line breaks down hard, falling sharply into a deep and prolonged drawdown. Every drop is steep and uncontrolled. The equity keeps collapsing lower, showing exactly how exposed the system becomes when risk is unmanaged. Now look at the blue line, which represents the B-book with the pawn active. Unlike the red collapse, the blue line holds steady. It stays almost flat throughout the entire stress period, protecting equity even when the market turns violent. There is no crash, no panic fall, and no destructive loss event. In this stress scenario, the difference is clear. The A-book in white gives a stable reference. The red B-book without the pawn collapses into a catastrophic loss. But the blue B-book with the pawn remains safe, stable, and fully protected. This is how the pawn prevents worst-case damage and keeps the broker's equity alive when everything goes wrong. It is clear that intelligent risk management does not limit profits. It multiplies them. The message is simple: more money, less risk, period.